Welcome to Confessions of a Parent Coach. I'm parent coach, mother of four, and your host, Ann Kaplan. This is the podcast where you will learn that even for parenting experts like me, there is no such thing as a perfect parent, and that fabulous behavior and amazing relationships are right on the other side of that realization. If you're working your butt off to do right by your kid, honor yourself, and go beyond the BS around you, you are my person, and this podcast is for you. Full disclosure, I'm a sometimes potty talker, and we deal with the challenge of raising kids here. This podcast is for grown-ups, so stick your earbuds in and let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the podcast. I am excited to be here with you again this week. And the topic that I want to talk about is something that happens all the time, and it's happening in my life right now. So it's a very salient point. It's happening to me. I'm receiving it from people, but also I am doing it. I myself am doing it too. So it's going to be very relevant to all of us, I have a feeling. So, and that is this sort of predicament that we find ourselves in all the time of knowing there's something that we want, like we don't just need to do it. We don't just have to do it. We want to do it. Like it's something that you maybe have even like imagined how great it would be if you could have this thing that you want or whatever. And yet at the same time, we're like actively not doing. And the example from my own life that I'm dealing with is my behavior with my phone. Like I am finally ready to say that I am addicted to my phone. Like it's bad. And I know that like when I don't use my phone, like for example, like a couple weeks ago, I had a dentist appointment and I ran out of the house and I realized I'd forgotten my phone, but I didn't have time to go back and get it because I would have been late. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to have an afternoon without my phone. And I went to the dentist appointment. I didn't have my phone with me. So I sat in the waiting room, which by the way, waiting rooms don't have like magazines and stuff anymore because everyone's on their phone. There's no point in cluttering up a waiting room with a magazine. So I literally sat in the waiting room of that doctor's office and just like looked at the wallpaper, paid attention to like the art that they had hanging on the walls. I noticed my own breathing. I was like listening to the receptionist making her phone calls. What I'm basically saying is that I was present in the room that I was in instead of being physically in the room I was in, but mentally in the internet world on my phone. It was delightful. Like I actually was like, after a while, I was like, oh, I hope they take longer to come and get me. I felt like I was like meditating almost or something. And then same thing, they take you into the little room, the hygienist sets you up and then they're like, okay, the doctor should be here any minute. And which is not really any minute. It's like 10, 15 minutes that you're just staring into space if you don't have your phone. But I was like, it was one of those weird snowy days in Denver where it like dumped a bunch of snow and then it was all melting the next day. And I just stared out the window and literally watched snow melt off the trees. And it was glorious. So I know for a fact that when I don't have my phone with me, I am a happier, healthier, like magical human person. I like it when I don't have my phone with me. But at the same time, am I actively working on breaking my phone addiction? No, I'm not. I'm persisting in my phone habits that are not great for me. Like, let's see. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do on my phone. See, now this is where we get into the second thing that I'm going to be talking about today, which is excuses for why I'm not doing this thing that I want to do. I genuinely want to do it. Like, oh, well, most of the stuff I do on my phone isn't like mindless. I use Marco Polo to talk to my clients, and I also have some Marco Polo groups with friends. Well, that's connecting with other people. That's a good thing. I listen to podcasts and almost all of them are like news or history or mental health care podcasts. So they're good for me. And, even when I watch a show on my phone, it's almost always like a documentary or something like that. So I use my phone for good stuff. And so that's why I can't get rid of it. Or I also have the excuse of like, well, I need to be reachable. My private clients, part of what they get when they hire me is access to me between our sessions. So I need to be able to be responsive to them, right? All the excuses why I'm not doing this thing that I genuinely want to do. And I already even have experience that my life would be better and I would be a happier person if I did it. What is the deal here, people? And we're all doing it. So, that's my confession for you, is about my phone addiction. But today's episode isn't just about why don't we do the things we genuinely want to do, but also what is up with the excuses that we make not to do it, and what is really going on beneath the surface there. And I see this happen a lot. If you're listening to this podcast solely for parenting support, I can easily bring this home for you. And and I've talked to so many parents who say the same thing. That if you did the stuff that I talk about in this podcast, if you actually implemented all the stuff that I talk about on the podcast, or if you're a client of mine, the stuff that's in your workbook, or the stuff that we talk about in session, that your life would be, just completely next level compared to what it is right now. Your parenting would be next level. Your relationship with your child would be next level. Your kids' behavior would be next level. Doing the work, whether the work is hiring me, and maybe you're one of these people that listens to the podcast and thinks about working with me, but doesn't actually pull the trigger to set up the session or something, So maybe that the work for you is literally actually moving forward and hiring this coach. This thing that you want and you would enjoy and would make a difference in your life is hiring me, but you're not doing it. Or if you already have hired me, maybe the thing that that would make your life better and that's something you genuinely want is, using enforceable statements with your child instead of giving directives. That's something that we talk about when we're working together, but you're not doing, right? So, and I'll tell you right now, because I'm recording this in May, and May is the month of the year that I have the most conversations with people who are thinking about coming on the retreat and not doing it. That is a place where this is what actually spurred me to talk about this topic right now. Of course, it happens all year long. We're all doing this all the time, whether it's about our parenting or about our phone addiction or about coming on a retreat or whatever. But it's so salient for me in May, because what I do every year in May is reach out to people who've told me that they're interested in the retreat throughout the year, or people who we've had sessions and it just so happens that the stuff we're talking about in the session is like prime, like alignment with what we're going to be doing at the retreat. Or I have a client who has been really working on something, but they need more than a 45-minute session. They need to kind of be in this like spacious, relaxed, but immersive space or whatever. I reach out to those people in May and have conversations with them. And almost all of them, you can tell that they do want to come on the retreat, but that they have all of these things getting in their way of it, just like I do with my phone. And I actually was talking to my assistant the other day, and she's like, well, what are you talking about? Because, she tries to help me with my marketing. So she's like, well, give me an example. What are some of the excuses? And I told her about a phone call I'd had with somebody who in the same conversation, both told me she was resistant to coming on the retreat because, working with me is really intense. It can be, for sure. And she was like, I just don't think that I could handle like 5 days of that kind of intensity. And so basically she was telling me one of the reasons why she was resistant to coming on the retreat is because she thought it would be too intense. It wouldn't be enjoyable or pleasant, and it would just be like exhausting for her. Those were her words. She used the word exhausting. And then 1 minute later in the same conversation, she said that, she didn't want to come on the retreat because she thought that it would just be too relaxing and she would wind up shirking the work. And so I was like, so it sounds like you don't want to come on the retreat, or you're stopping yourself from coming on the retreat because A, you think that it's going to be way too intense, and B, you think it's not going to be intense enough. And she like has such a great sense of humor, and she was just burst out laughing. But I've heard both of those things, like, oh my gosh, like, me, if you listen to the podcast, if you're a client of mine, I'm a spicy meatball. And when you're working with me one-on-one in a coaching session, even if it's in the group, when I'm coaching you, it's just one-on-one. If you're working with me one-on-one and we have a limited amount of time, like, I don't mess around. And that's a reason why people like me. And it's a reason why at the end of those 45 minutes, you might feel like, gee, I need to take a nap. That was like a lot. Like, I just like had my mind blown. Let me catch my breath. So it makes perfect sense that some people think like, oh my gosh, that's really awesome, but I don't know if I could take 5 days of that. Well, of course the retreat isn't like that. First of all, it's not one-on-one. Second of all, it's not doing coaching the whole day, and all these things. That it's a relaxing, open, spacious container where we get to like talk about a thing and then marinate on that thing and then maybe circle back to that thing, later on in the evening, and everything is optional. And it's like so much more, in my opinion, impactful and enjoyable at the same time. But if you never come on the retreat and you only have experience working with me in these intense sessions, it make perfect sense for you to be a little bit wary, or to maybe make the assumption that it's going to be like super like insanely intense the whole time. It's not, but that's a concern that I hear from people regularly. And on the flip side, retreats, even the word retreat, it sounds relaxing, it sounds spacious, and it is. And we have a lot of ideas about whether we should be really relaxing when we have all this work to do. So, this particular person had both of those in one conversation. It's going to be too intense and also not intense enough at the same time. And that's just one example of all of this other stuff. Like, I've heard clients say, well, I don't want to come to the retreat because what if I'll feel so much concern for everyone else that I won't really be able to take care of myself because it's a group setting. I hear all the time, oh, I can't swing the money this year, even though I say all the time to people, like, I will work with your budget, and you don't even know what payment plans I've come up with for clients before. Because whenever somebody tells me I want to do this retreat, the only thing standing between me and this retreat is money. That is such a solvable dilemma that I will work with you on. And people hear me say that all of the time. And then they will still say, like, I can't afford it, even though they don't even know how much it costs or what their options are. So you can see, once again, these excuses. I had somebody yesterday tell me that she was so busy that she desperately needed a break. But because she was so busy, she's just taking it one day at a time. And so she can't, take the 5 minutes to put a deposit down for the retreat this year. And it's like, well, what's going to happen if you keep doing this like one day at a time, but breakneck pace? And I've known this person for, let's see, if I do the math, I've known this person for 12 years. And for 12 years, I've heard her say, I desperately need a break and I'm running around with my hair on fire. And, it's like, okay, so why don't you take the 5 minutes now so that 6 months from now, you will have that break that you have been telling yourself you need for 12 years. But we don't. So what does this all mean? We come up with all of these excuses that are so easy to poke holes in, including my excuses about my phone. Like, is it really great for you to watch like 12 podcasts about the American Revolution? Is that actually how you want to spend your one and only life on planet Earth? Okay, cool. It's a documentary. But also, by the way, how much time do you spend like rewatching Ted Lasso, which is not an educational endeavor, right? So all of my excuses I can poke holes in. All of the excuses that people come up with for not coming on the retreat are so easily, debunked. But there is a reason why we're not doing it. It's just not the reasons that we're saying. What makes something an excuse versus an actual crux of the matter is whether or not it's the real, heart of it, or a heart of what's going on with us. So, all of these excuses are not the real reason. There is a real reason. So, the thing that as coaches, we learn when we're trying to help people like uncover their block and figure out like, okay, well, what is the real reason? Like, what is actually going on here? What do we learn? Well, we learn that when somebody desperately wants this outcome, but is not giving it to themselves or not doing the things that would give it to themselves, what we really need to understand is that they are giving something else to themselves. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that we're getting something even better from denying ourselves this thing that we want. There's something that, for whatever reason, our brains, our systems believe is even more valuable than the thing that we want to have and aren't giving ourselves. So we get something even better from denying ourselves this thing we want than we would get from the thing we want. And so when we try to figure out, like, okay, what is the real reason why I'm not doing this thing that I know I want to do? We have to uncover, like, what are you getting from not doing it? So the question that I ask myself, and I have asked clients before, and is a very confronting question, I ask it in a confronting way on purpose, is why are you so committed to denying yourself the thing that you want? And if it's a specific thing, like in my case with my phone, I would say, why are you so committed to continuing your phone addiction? Why are you so committed to being addicted to your phone? Because I am so committed to it that I am stopping myself from the very things that would give me not a phone addiction and that would give me that amazing dentist office feeling all the time. I'm committed to staying addicted instead. I'm so committed to my addiction that that I will forego all of the major, magical, beautiful benefits of not being addicted. That's how important my addiction is to me. So that's another way to ask this question. Why is it so important to you? So if you are one of those people who's thinking about coming on the retreat and has these different excuses or your own excuses that I don't know what they are yet, ask yourself, like, why are you so committed to denying yourself the retreat? Why is it so important to you to not come on the retreat? It's a different way to think about it, isn't it? And I can't take credit for this kind of question because it's a question that I arrived at, first of all, by being asked similar questions by coaches and being like, well, I'm not committed to my addiction to my phone. What do you mean? Like, I don't, a coach once asked me, like, why do you value being poor so much? Because I was like so red. I was so undercharging for my coaching that it was like costing me money, basically. And then he said, why is it so important to you? Why do you value being poor so much? Why do you value not coming on the retreat so much? Why do you value being reactive and losing your temper on your children the way that you do? Damn, that is an ouchy question. You can see why this client is feeling like she might not want to come on the retreat. She thinks I'm going to just be poking at her with hot knives all the time with these kinds of questions. But let me assure you that is not what happens on the retreat. But it is what happens for me with myself when I'm really trying to get to the bottom of something, and with my clients too. And with all compassion and tenderness, like, there's a reason, there's a good reason why we're denying it to ourselves. So, for example, with this phone addiction thing, which I've been sort of chipping away at for a long time with the supports that I have in place, and what I'm starting to uncover is that I'm afraid of something. And what I think it is, you're seeing me mid-process right now, but what I think it is I think I'm superficially afraid of boredom, but what's beneath that is I'm afraid of just kind of perseverating on my thoughts, which is something that I do have a tendency to do. And I don't have other healthy outlets to like just zone out or veg out or relax or shut it down. My phone has become that for me. And I think that in the absence of other things that would help me relax and disconnect from my work and my personal musings and all of that stuff, I will become even more, fixated on the things that I'm fixated. It's like I'm using it as a crutch. So, oh, okay, well, that's great. Now we're not going to waste our time putting, screen time controls on your phone or making rules about you using your phone. We can instead approach this from the place of what really is needed in order for this thing to be possible for you. Well, what's really needed is for the thing that you're getting by denying it yourself to be given to you in other ways. So the thing that I'm getting by staying addicted to my phone, by denying myself phone freedom, is relaxation and disconnection and a solid line between working and not working and things like that. Great. I can give that to myself in other ways. And as I do, this need for the phone starts to dissolve. Does that make sense? So think about it in terms of like coming on the retreat or doing the work that we need to do in terms of being better parents. Like, what are you getting by losing your temper at your child? Now, that is a very confronting question for your coach to ask you, unless it's also delivered with a healthy dose of like, because it is something important that you deserve and you need. You are getting something from the behaviors that you do. And you need to get that thing. So let's give it to you in healthier ways so that you're not giving it to yourself in this way that's denying you the relationship you want with your children, the behavior you want from your children, the behavior you want from yourself toward your children. Those things are all being denied to you because the thing that you're getting from losing your temper on your kids is so important to you. So let's figure out what that is. And it's the same thing with the retreat. I'm not talking to you if you're one of those people who's like, I have zero interest in coming on this retreat and that's just not my thing and whatever. That's not who I'm talking to with this. But I mean, the concept I'm talking about with everybody. But if you're one of those people who kind of knows in your heart of hearts, like this thing is waiting for me. And it would make a big difference. And I desperately know that I would love it. I want it. If you want to come on the retreat, but you first need to figure out like how to allow yourself to want it and actually do the thing that you want to do, this is for you. Like asking yourself, why do you value not coming on the retreat so much? Why do you value not being a person who does this for themselves, for example? Or why is it so important to you to stay stuck in the place that you are right now? Asking yourself those questions and then figuring out like, what am I getting? What am I giving myself by not coming on this retreat? Let's figure out if we can give that to you another way so that you're freed up. And what do they say? Like when my son was in addiction treatment, one of the things they would say is people change when the cost of staying the same is higher than the cost of changing. Another way to say that is people change when the joy of change exceeds the joy of stagnation. So right now, if you are one of those people who's thinking about coming on the retreat, but not, there's a joy for you that you are getting out of stagnating, out of not taking action, out of not saying yes. You are getting some sort of joy, scratching some sort of itch. If you figure out what that is and scratch it a different way, all of a sudden, this magnetic pull that you feel to do this thing that you know would be amazing for you and joyful for you and happy for you, that magnetic pull has nothing pulling against it anymore. And it just happens. That was me clapping. So think about that today. Where is there something in your life, not something you should do or oh gosh, I really need to, control my temper or whatever, but something you genuinely want. Like how I enjoyed my time without my phone. I genuinely want to feel that way all the time. I genuinely want to just leave my phone at home. Sometimes I tell people like I fantasize about the day that I just drive over my phone with my car and never look back. I want that. It's not something I'm thinking, oh, I'm so gross with my phone. I really need to quit it. Everybody hates me because I'm so obnoxious with my phone. It's not that. It's not a negative motivation. It's a positive motivation. What is something that's like that for you? Maybe it is the retreat. It's a positive motivation. You genuinely want to do it. You genuinely want to be here with me in Northern Michigan, looking out over the glistening lake with a glass of wine in your hand. You genuinely want to sit with me and 5 other women and talk about, what's going on in the world and try out some new stuff. You genuinely want to get a massage and have free time in nature and go for hikes in the woods and look at the beautiful fall colors. You genuinely want that, something that would bring you joy. Even thinking about it sparks joy in you. What is something like that for you? And what are you getting that's so much better that you won't do this thing that you want? And there's something that's better than that. No matter how much joy this thing sparks, no matter how much joy driving over my car with my phone sparks in me, there's even more joy staying addicted to it. So no matter how much joy the retreat sparks in you, if you are making excuses not to come, it's because there's something about not coming that sparks even more joy. Figure out what that is. And this is the work that I do with my clients around all of the places that they feel stuck. So think about coming on the retreat, obviously. Now is the time. May and June, that's it. If I don't get at least my minimum numbers by the end of June, that's it it's curtains for the retreat, because I have practitioners and chefs and all that great stuff. So this is the time to think about that. Think about coming on the retreat, coaching, asking yourself this fundamental question, why am I committed to denying myself the thing that I want? And see what you come up with. I hope you have a great week, everybody, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye. The episode is over, but there's more waiting for you. You can grab my free workbook, Getting Kids to Listen the First Time, that walks you through the fundamental principles I teach all of my clients and applies them to this very universal parenting challenge. So if you're sick of repeating yourself all day long or just want to learn more about my style, you'll definitely want to go to bit.ly/kidswholisten. And if you're ready to work with me, let's meet. Set up a free call at bit.ly/Kaplan call, and let's create an action plan that gets you exactly where you want to go. And of course, links to all this goodness are in the show notes. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.